July 8th. Yes, that's what it is. July 8th, 2:15. That's a Tuesday. So Cian set out on a solo hike through Grand Teton. Security cameras show that he entered the park via the Moose entrance station on Tuesday at 2:15. McLaughlin's route was unknown. He could have been hiking the Garnet Canyon, Surprise Amphitheater, Delta, or Taggart Lake areas.
So this is, anyone who's listened for a long time, this is a big no-no for us.
Yep.
Always fill somebody in on your route, or at a minimum, leave a note or something.
Yeah, just even like I'm going to come in this area. Even if you're not sure, I'm going to be in this general area. These are the trails I was thinking about. So just what's your thought process? Where do you think you could go?
Yeah.
Even if you say, I'm taking this trail, but I'm doing photography, so I might wander a little bit to get pictures or things like that. So then even then a rescuer could go, okay, here's the trail. What are some areas on this trail that I might go take pictures of? Things like that. So you give people an idea of where you are in case something happens. So as Mike said, we went over this profile. This park's super popular. These trails that he's going on, they're not, they're remote, but they are traveled.
Yeah.
So he's in an area with lots of people. He's experienced, he knows the area, and he went missing. So so that's just kind of reiterating how important it is, even if you're just going to go for a day hike, make sure somebody knows.
Yeah. And honestly, this would help the search and rescue team narrow in. So like the first 24 to 48 hours of a search and rescue are the most vital, even in summer months. Especially if you're injured.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they just know he was hiking in Grand Teton, a park that's 310,000 acres.
Yeah.
That's a huge area to search. And if they know what trail you're on, they can direct all that manpower to that area instead of
just get that focus and have a way better shot at outcome.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until the 10th, Thursday, McLaughlin failed to show up for work at his place of employment. So that's when someone knew something was wrong. Probably thought he was ghosting his shift or whatever.
Yeah.
On the 12th, which is a Saturday, late in the evening, McLaughlin was officially reported missing to the Teton County Sheriff's Office.
So that's a pretty big delay in... I think it's safe to assume that
4 days.
Yeah, he went missing sometime on the 8th, and he wasn't reported missing to the authorities until late on the 12th.
Yeah.
We're already starting off behind the 8 ball on this one.
Absolutely.
So
then the next day on the Sunday at 7 a.m., the Teton Interagency Dispatch Center was notified of McLaughlin's disappearance by the Teton County Sheriff's Office. McLaughlin's vehicle was located at the Lupine Meadows Trailhead in Grand Teton National Park on Sunday morning, June 13th. So midday on that Sunday, a massive search kicks off looking for Cian. Aerial reconnaissance and ground search operations were conducted in the high probability areas of the park on June 13th. And basically no evidence or leads turned up about his whereabouts.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they didn't have a specific location that they were, trying to, search. So this...
Well, and it's worth noting, because even if his car's at a trailhead, we've been to many parks, you park where you can and either hitch a ride with somebody or take like the bus or there's other transportation. So parking your car somewhere in a national park also doesn't necessarily mean you're there. Odds are he was in that area.
Yeah.
But, there's times we've gone to national parks, parked in one place and went to the other end of the park, then started hiking. We did that in Glacier.
Yep.
We had to take the bus like 4 stops to get to our start from where our car was.
Yeah. So, that's, another interesting aspect of it so they have surveillance of him entering the park. His car is still there. So I think it's safe to assume he's in the park.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go on now.
So on the 17th, now this is a few days later, Rangers received a report of a June 8th sighting of a man that fit McLaughlin's description by a local climbing guide. The guide reported seeing the man hiking up Garnet Canyon Trail above the Garnet Canyon Surprise Lake Junction around 3:45 p.m. And this is on the 8th. The trail is an 8.2 mile round trip and has a peak elevation of 9,280 feet. It is ranked as a moderate strenuous on the official Grand Teton National Park website. He described him as a solo hiker who had shoulder-length hair and was wearing round glasses, a white shirt, shorts, and a hat. The guide also reported the man as having tattoos on his arm and carrying a water bottle. So that's pretty
good description.
Pretty good description. It sounds like that was definitely him.
Yep.
Based on this new information, the search operations have been adjusted today to focus more on the Garnett Canyon. So this is exactly what Mike was saying. They were looking in popular places everywhere.
Yeah.
And now it's like 8-9 days later.
Yeah.
No, 7 days later, whatever. And they are just now focusing on the area that he was seen in.
Yeah. So it's, your chances of, successfully finding someone still alive at this point have gone down tremendously. Though it's not unheard of. I mean, like we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, we are going to be interviewing a guy who survived for 9 days in Washington State's wilderness.
Yep.
So it can happen, but your odds of survival go down so much. But the strange part about this is how popular and busy this park is.
Yeah.
Towards the end, when we get to theories, I'm going to read a statement from another person who hiked this park and kind of their theory of, how weird it would be to go missing at this time of year in this park. So,
yeah. So at the point that they adjusted their search, it included like 50 park staff conducting ground search in the high probability areas, 6 search and rescue dog teams, members of the Teton County Sheriff Search and Rescue, and the Teton Interagency helicopter was involved in the search. So they had a lot of people out there looking for him.
Yep.
Over the next few days, after the extensive ground and aerial efforts, the search for McLaughlin shifted tactics to a continuous but limited mode. So this is where they start saying, based on what he was seen having, what he expected, we're past the point of, this is, we got to scale it down a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, from what everything we read, he wasn't really prepared gear wise to spend multiple days out in the backcountry. Like it seems like he was just going for a day hike or a day climb and then was coming back. He didn't have, from what I can tell, he didn't have a backpack.
Yeah.
He didn't have any kind of cold weather gear. He didn't have any kind of, illumination like headlamp or anything. He didn't have a tent, a backpack, or a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
So he was not prepared to spend any kind of extended time out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Which works against him.
And they had these teams. I mean, this says they had them navigating super steep areas, technical terrain, and hazardous areas, many requiring ropes, ice axes, crampons, like the whole deal just to get into. And there were over 45 helicopter search missions that were conducted.
Yeah.
What was cool, and you found this, Mike, that they used this new technology called RECCO, Rescue Technology.
Yeah.
You want to give everyone a little idea of what that is? I looked it up a little bit. It looks really sweet.
Yeah. So it basically it assists in search and rescue incidents by sending a signal, so the helicopter will send a signal, then that reflects off these, we'll call them Reco chips or clothing, and sometimes even cell phones. And it's basically, if you go to their website, we'll post a link because I find it really cool. And I think if more people wore stuff like this, less people would go missing. But they have we're not sponsored by them. So
yeah, or maybe soon we will be.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
As of this moment, we're not.
We don't typically really highlight, products.
Well, I didn't look at it as like a thing that you can purchase it, but I looked at it more like their company appealing to outdoors companies to say integrate our thing in your clothes, and then you can use it as a marketing thing, but also will help people. Yeah,
there are shirts and sweatshirts and coats and backpacks that you can buy with this technology integrated into it, or you can just buy these little. They look like little Velcro straps that you can strap to like a climbing helmet or your backpack or a shirt. So really cool technology. It'll be interesting to see where this goes if it becomes like common.
Yeah, basically it looked like they it's a radar and the helicopters send a signal down. If you have this thing in your clothes or on the thing, it reflects it back and says, "Oh, somebody's here." It's not natural.
Yeah, it doesn't give like a precise location, but it will give a ping to a general area. Like, okay, we've got a ping in this area. Let's focus our efforts. And like I was saying, it'll be interesting to see if this kind of technology becomes more common going forward in gear that backcountry hikers use.
I really hope so.
And it'd be cool if they sold these little things right in like the gift shop of the national parks even. So yeah, cool technology. I've never heard of this used before. This is the first time I've heard of it. So pretty cool.
So in addition to that, which I agree, it looked really awesome. I hope something good happens with it. The Civil Air Patrol conducted aerial operations using forward-looking infrared technology. So that's the FLIR we were talking about. Thermal imaging cameras to detect heat sources. And then they spoke with over 140 people with tips and information about Cian.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this the family and friends have still kept up the search, and park rangers, while doing a very limited search, have they continue when they're hiking out in the wilderness. They keep an eye out for these people that have gone missing, but nothing was ever found. None of his gear was found that he had with him. None of his clothing, the watch, the phone.
That always gets me.
I know. I mean, it's great that he had his phone with him. I always say, bring your phone with. When I was hiking in the Tetons, there's no cell reception. So, I mean, unfortunately, you're probably not even going to get a single bar, but always have it with you just in case. I mean, it could be life or death if you just happen to get a slight signal for a minute. So, before we get into theories, I
do have.
Joe's got some audio here for us.
Yeah, it'll be video too, so I'm just gonna minimize that and make sure I switch on the stream.
While he's doing that,
here we go. It's what this is. It's an interview with the park ranger that was involved in the search. Let me get some volume up on here.
The search for Cian won't end from our perspective until we find him. So tactics shift over time. And we're coming on towards winter. We expect that snow will fall on the ground, which will make some of the clues we're looking for a little more difficult to find. There are items that we believe that he had with him, and those are things that we might see out in the landscape. We continue to really work with the public, soliciting for information. We have missing person flyers throughout the park, at entrance stations, at trailheads. And our staff is always patrolling in the field, both in the summer and the winter. And so the tactics they use, again, may shift a little bit, but we'll have ski patrollers out and whatnot. And everyone who goes out into the area we believe that Cian was last known to be, will be looking for him and looking for clues.
So that was a park ranger basically describing to the press that they're going to be scaling back the search for Cian because it's all that time has passed. And they have an understanding of what they look for. So what she explained is what we've talked about in several episodes on like it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult topic to broach because you have somebody out missing and you're basically giving the sign that we're giving up.
Yep.
And they never really do, but it's kind of a more PC way of saying that we're past this time where we'd expect him to be alive.
Yeah, and even the family goes into saying that it turned into a recovery at a certain point. They would like to find his remains to have closure at this point. So it's it's a sad situation. Before we go into theories and everything, there was just a statement by Grand Teton National Park Ranger that and law enforcement that said they didn't suspect that he suffered from any type of mental health issue. So I think we're not in the theories just yet, but I don't think mental health was an issue. But here are some of the issues I have with the facts of this case. And I don't mean issues in the sense that they're not real or anything, but just things that don't make sense to me. So for an experienced, hiker, climber, instructor, he was not dressed appropriately for hiking in the backcountry, and he didn't have the proper gear. I could probably chalk that up to people when they get to a certain level of, experience hiking and climbing, probably get a little, arrogant about how good they are out in the wilderness.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say even arrogance, more like it becomes more routine or casual.
Yeah, I guess that's the term. Yeah, not arrogant.
Yeah, but no, it kind of means the same thing. Kind of like, this is just like I've been to this mountain.
Doing a day hike.
Yeah, I'm doing a day hike. I've been to this mountain 50 times. Yeah. Like it becomes like kind of walking out your door.
Yep.
We're gonna do it more absent-minded because you're not intentionally doing it.
So that's an issue for me. He started hiking late afternoon. I know he lived there, so he may have just intended to hike up the trail for 4 hours and then turn around. But whenever I'm hiking, in a national park, we always try to get up at sunrise or even before, because you want to beat the crowds, you want to beat the heat. And a lot of times, if you can get going early in the morning, you don't have to kill yourself as much, pushing to get to the top if you start earlier, because sometimes, if you're not making good time and you still want to try and summit, you got to really start hoofing it.
Yeah, and all the bad weather comes typically in the afternoon in the mountains.
Yeah, so if you're going
to have storms, it's going to be at noon and 1 and 2.
Yeah, so that's an issue for me. Some people online who have hiked this area a lot, and I can kind of vouch for the trail I was on, at least in Grand Teton. It would be really tough to get lost on a lot of these trails because they're so popular. Interesting. The trailhead that he started on was only a 35-minute drive from Jackson, so I think we can assume he's hiked this before. And a lot of people online said the area he was hiking is a generally easier area to hike, so it doesn't make sense that an experienced hiker, climber could have gone missing in this area of the park. So just an interesting, issues I had with what happened here.